back to our informative time together. This is day 39 for us in our Lenten season. That's right, we've only got one more day to come before we hit Sunday and Resurrection Sunday. This is our Good Friday moment. And so join me today in the text in Genesis chapter 22, verse 19. I know I talked about Good Friday yesterday as well, but we're still tracking along in Holy Week. Genesis chapter 22, verse 19 says these words: Then Abraham returned to his servants, and they set off together for Beersheba, and Abraham stayed in Beersheba. Today I want to talk about reflecting down the mountain. Friends, imagine how awkward it is, and really how it must have been when Abraham and Isaac went down that mountain together. Abraham, the father, had just been asked by God to sacrifice his son as an act of obedience. Isaac, the son, had been the very sacrifice, only to be spared by God's intervention at the last moment. The tension between them would have been palpable. Abraham had almost killed his son, and Isaac had nearly lost his life. But the Bible does not explicitly tell us what transpired in their conversation on that walk. It's hard to believe that such a monumental experience would go unspoken. There must have been a heaviness in the air, perhaps an uncomfortable silence or tentative words exchanged as they walked together. They had just shared a horrifying event, one that would undoubtedly shape their relationship and their understanding of God in profound ways. While the Bible leaves their interaction largely to our imagination, one thing is certain: at some point, they had to stop and reflect. This reflection, this pause to process, was essential, not just for the spiritual journey, but for their emotional and relational healing. Reflection allows us to step back from our experiences and evaluate them thoughtfully. It's in these moments of stillness that we can fully absorb the lessons we've learned and prepare ourselves for the path ahead. Reflection gives us the space to sift through our emotions, to appreciate the growth that comes from adversity, and to discern what actions we must take moving forward. It is an invitation for our bodies and minds to slow down and reconnect with what truly is important. For Abraham and Isaac, the descent from the mountain wasn't just a physical journey back to where they came from, it was a metaphorical one as well. They couldn't simply rush off to the next task, the next challenge, without first acknowledging and processing what had just happened. Instead of lingering on the mountaintop or trying to find another peak to climb, they descend into the valley. They choose the quiet path, one where they could begin the deep work of reflecting and healing. It's in the valley of life, these moments of quiet after intense experiences, that we often find clarity and insight. Our own lives mirror these mountain and valley experiences, friends. We all encounter mountains of spiritual highs, times when we feel close to God, when we experience breakthroughs, or when our faith is affirmed in powerful ways. But life also takes us in the valleys, into times of struggle and doubt or hardship. The key is not to rush from one mountain experience to the next as if we're always seeking the next high without allowing time for reflection and growth. Just as Abraham and Isaac had to descend the mountain to process what they had gone through, so too must we take time to reflect on our own experiences, particularly the ones that shape us the most. As we approach the end of Lent and look ahead to Holy Week, the importance of reflection becomes ever more pronounced. On Good Friday, we remember the painful, sacrificial death of Jesus on the cross. It's a day of deep sorrow and contemplation, one that calls us to reflect on the cost of our salvation. But we also know that there's a Sunday coming, Resurrection Sunday, a day of triumph and victory. Yet between the darkness of Good Friday and the light of Resurrection Sunday, we have what's called Holy Saturday. It's a day that often gets overlooked in the biblical narrative, as it's a day of waiting and stillness. There's no major activity recorded on this day, yet it's an essential part of the journey. Holy Saturday is a time to descend from the mountaintop of crucifixion, to sit in silence of the tomb, and to reflect on what has passed while trusting God for what's to come. Holy Saturday, like the moments of reflection in our lives, invites us to pause and consider the space between suffering and redemption. It's a day of anticipation, of trusting God with what is still to unfold. And so we're called to reflect on this day, not just on the events of Good Friday, but on what those events mean for us personally and spiritually as we await the joy of Sunday morning. In our own lives, we can use this moment as an opportunity to reflect. As you approach the end of Lent and prepare for the joys of Easter, take time to look back on your own journey. What have you learned about yourself during this season? What new insights have you gained about God and his role in your life? What struggles have you faced? And how has it shaped you? What lessons will you carry with you into the future? Reflection helps us to make sense of the past so we can move forward with purpose. It's clear the path ahead, sharpening our vision and reminding us of what truly matters. Just as Abraham and Isaac walked down the mountain together, reflecting on the depth of our shaped experience, so too must we walk through our lives with intentional reflection, ever aware of the lessons learned and the growth to come. I'm done, but reflection is not just a one-time act. It is a continual practice that helps us to stay grounded in the present while keeping our eyes fixed on what lies ahead. Friends, today as we take in this Good Friday, don't you forget to reflect tomorrow on Holy Saturday, and remember what the Lord has done. Remember how you've seen him. Remember how you've experienced him, and trust him for what's getting ready to happen next. Friends, this is the end of our devotions today. I'll see you tomorrow.